welcome to my channel. If you're new, thanks for clicking on my face, and if you're returning, thanks for still clicking on my face. Sorry about the last video. I don't know what happened to the audio. I'm going to re-edit it and post it again. So bear with me. My life is just rather busy, so I haven't had the time to get to it. So today's video is going to be a review on a yarn as well as like a mini review on a pattern that I knit with said yarn. The yarn is Manos del Uruguy in Fino, and this is what I made with it. See the ends? Probably one of my least favorite things is weaving in ends and sewing or seaming or whatever you want to do. Essentially, as soon as I have to get a needle out, I don't want to do it. Anyway, I purchased this yarn in New York City. I want to say I was at Pearl Soho. I can't quite remember exactly where I was at, but I still have the tag, and when I travel, I write down where I bought the yarn so that I can remember when I use it. So again, Manos del Uruguy Fino, purchased in New York City, I want to say Pearl Soho, and it is in the colorway called Gaslamp. And it is a 30% silk, 70% extra fine merino, and 490 yards, which is about 450 meters, 100 grams. Yeah, what I do really like about Manos del Uruguy is in your little tag, you see where it came from, because they're a proud member of the World Fair Trade Organization. So you see where your yarn came from and who made it. And this one came specifically from Dragoon or Dragon. I'm so sorry, I'm not really sure how to pronounce the location of this yarn, but the artisan was Elvira. So I think that's just really nice. It's a nice touch to know where your yarn came from. And I know a lot of channels will just show you the yarn and not tell you how much it costs. I'm going to tell you how much it is because that's part of the review. So you get 490 yards. Sorry, it's raining and I hope that you can't really hear that, but it has been, I'm going off on a tangent. It has been raining and thundering all week long, every single day. And I'm not home very often, so I'm home a couple weeks out of the year. So it's really annoying that it rains all day, every day, the 1 week I'm home this month. So whatever. But anyway, so for 490 yards, it was about 30 bucks. So a little bit more on the expensive side, but I have to say it's wonderful, and your money is going to a good cause. It's going back to these third world countries. Not all of it, granted, but you know, some of it does. So this is what it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful yellow color with like you get a light yellow and then golden yellows, so almost like a goldenrod color. And the camera is pretty much picking up true. It almost looks like shadows, but those aren't shadows. Those are the dark yellow portion of it. It's so soft. And yeah, I know the ends are still there, but I've definitely already worn this. I finished it, where did I finish it? Some airport. I can't remember what airport I was in where I finished it, but I immediately put it on, wrapped it around, and I was like, yep. Even though I was probably I want to say I was on, it doesn't even matter. I was going to Charlotte, so it was gonna be in the low 90s. So yeah, I wore the shawl around when it is deathly hot. But I feel like everyone can relate to that. You finish something and you just want to put it on immediately, even if the weather is just not right for whatever you finished. So honestly, would I knit with this yarn again? Definitely, I would. Some things to keep in mind, it is a single ply, or sorry, wow. It's 4 ply, but it's a single. It's rather fluffy, and what I mean by that is if you mess up and you have to frog, you're gonna get a very fuzzy fiber. My ends are very small, so you can kind of tell. I started on this end, and then I'll get to the pattern in a second, but I started on this end, and then I ended up here. So my 2 ends, you can tell, are very different because, I mean, casting on and whatnot. So let me scooch closer to the camera. Oop. Hopefully the light is okay. So this one, is it gonna, there we go. So it's a bit fuzzier, and this is the one that got worked through my hand a little bit more when I was casting on. And then the other one, I barely touched. Sorry. The other one I barely touched, so it's a lot tighter and not as fuzzy. There we go. I'll kind of switch gears and talk about the pattern. So it's not as big as I thought it would be. It's just slightly bigger than my wingspan. I get like that much. But again, it gets real skinny at the end. It's not a true triangle. So this end's a lot shorter than this part is. And I have this much left over. Just this tiny little mini baby skein. I honestly haven't even weighed it because I don't have a mini skein blanket. I don't do any of that just because I just know I'm not gonna want to ever use it. I need stuff to match. But anyway, so I have this little tiny guy. Don't know what I'll ever use it for, but I didn't think I would have enough to make another like continuation. So this pattern actually, let me take a step back. This pattern, I have my notes on a Holiday Inn pad because that is my life. I sleep at Holiday Inns more than I sleep in my own apartment, but whatever. So it is called the Nurmilintu by Heidi Alander. It's a pretty popular pattern. There is over 4,000 project pages for it on Ravelry. What appealed to me about it was that it was a single color, not super boring, and I only had to have 1 skein of yarn. So that's what I made. It's got garter, so you start up here, garter, and it is free, so it's not a big deal for me to explain how this works. Garter, and then you get to the first lace pattern, which is really simple. There, my wall is gray, so you can kind of see it up there. So there's about 3 repeats of the lace, and then you do some more gartering, and then you get to the lace again, garter, and then lace, and technically, this bottom part with the lace, that's where the pattern ends. Obviously you can keep going, which is just what I did. Normally you would keep going and you'd want to end on a lace section, but I didn't have enough yarn. But I had, like, there was enough that I felt the need to keep going with the garter. And honestly, I don't think it looks bad with the garter trim on the end. So it just adds more softness. It's so nice. It's very soft. It's very squishy. It's beautiful yarn. It is really beautiful. And if you ever see some, I would highly recommend grabbing it. Now, one thing I will mention is it's not the most uniform yarn that you can get. So there are parts where it is, and see how it like attaches to itself. There are parts where it's very thin, and then parts where it gets a little bit thicker. So if you're wanting something to be almost perfect, extremely uniform, don't go with this guy because there's going to be variations in the thickness of the yarn. I mean, it's still going to be fingering the entire way. Yeah, pretty much. But it's not going to be a uniform fingering. And for this pattern, that wasn't a big deal. And I actually kind of like it when it's like that, where there's just a bit of imperfection in the yarn. So I think it was great. I think it works really well. I will leave a link to where you can purchase it. I mean, if you ever want to. And just as a disclaimer, everything that I review, I did purchase myself. If I ever received anything, I would let you know, and I wouldn't lie about what I like or do not like. I definitely wouldn't stay on the topic of like completely bashing somebody for their product because that's just a little mean, but I wouldn't be like, oh, it was nice, and then not talk about it again. I value people's opinions when I purchase things, so, and I don't want them to, you know, lead me on something and then I don't like it, so I would never do that to you. And with that, I will see you guys later in another video, in another review. Bye!